All right, so tell me about how ENUMCLAW began. Like, what? Sorry, another interview it said it started as like a goth band or something. But did you meet all like your the band members beforehand in like other
Yeah,
bands or?
yeah, I knew everybody in the band because we all kind of were in the same scene. Like Nathan was in a band. He was in a couple bands. He was in this band called like Mixtape Minus, and then this other band, Home Movies. And his band used to play a lot of shows with rappers, funny enough. Um, And so I just knew him from like going to shows and going to see like bigger bands when they came into town. And then LaDaniel I met because we had a mutual friend and he was like, you guys like have to meet. And then finally we like met. And then Nathan and LaDaniel were working on LaDaniel's like solo project together. And then I kind of like wiggled my way into that. And then it was just like the three of us. And then we couldn't find a bass player. And so then at first it like after like not being able to find a bass player for 6 months, we were like maybe we'll just be a three piece and like Nathan was gonna play bass. And then at the last second, like I convinced my like brother Eli to like buy a bass and join the band, and the rest is
Oh,
history.
awesome. Oh, that's heaps cool. And you've only been a band for 3 or 4 years, is that right?
Yeah, like for like about to be 4 years, I would say.
Okay, awesome. Any favorite gigs you've played so far? Any favorite concerts or anything?
That's a great question, actually. There's like some this last time we were in Chicago, that was really good. I feel like we've had like we were in Chicago maybe sometime like March of last year, and that was like one of the most crazy ENUMCLAW shows. When we played in Amsterdam, that show was pretty epic. Uh,
Any festivals or have you got around to festivals yet?
yeah, the show in Amsterdam was like a festival, and that was really cool. Um, that's a lot of them are the same, but some do stand above the rest. I would say the like Chicago March 2023 is like the best Enum show
Yeah, awesome.
at
Uh,
Shuba's.
Yeah, and so like I've seen like you're kind of like alternative rock, I guess, but how would you describe your sound to someone that's like starting out listening or haven't heard your band before? Like how would you describe your sound?
Um, It's like somewhere in the middle of like indie rock and like alternative rock. A lot of people say we sound like Dinosaur Jr., but I think that's just because I have a funny sounding voice. Um, but if yeah, I would just say to me, I think we're just kind of like an alternative rock band. Very like Pacific Northwest core, um, for fans of yeah, like a Dinosaur Jr. or a Pavement or something like that. I yeah, because I don't think what we do is super like complicated.
Yeah, fair enough. And why do you think fans resonate with your song so much so far in the journey?
I think it's like what we're talking about. I think when I meet people at shows and stuff, it seems to like uh resonate with people like in a deeper level. Like I met a guy on this last tour and we just put out this record, and one of the songs is about like my Uncle Mike, and this guy came to the show and he was like, I have Uncle Mike, and he just got diagnosed with like leukemia. And so like your song about your Uncle Mike really like resonated with me. And I think for a lot of people it's like stuff like that. And then I think the other half of people just think it's like cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's crazy. Like when you see live bands, sometimes you just like hear random lyrics, and like for some reason it resonates with you in a certain way, and it's just like it's really interesting how music can do that. Like just random lyrics kind of mean something to you, even though they might not be that uh like it might not make sense like like in terms of the
No, I know
song.
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like just
Those are one
random.
of my
Yeah,
favorite like moments when it's like this lyric doesn't make any sense, but it like I don't yeah, it's like I don't know what this means, but I really like it really resonates with me really deeply.
yeah. Um, so I saw that you collaborated with Flight Facilities. I think was it last year you collaborated with Flight Facilities?
Or was that or no, that happened this year. Or I did the song last year, but it came out this year.
Yeah, that's really awesome. How did that come about? Did they reach out to you, or was it?
Or I was in LA kind of for like kind of to make music, kind of just for fun. And a buddy of mine works at Future Classics at the studio they have in LA. And he was like, we have some guys in the studio today that are looking for like help with like top line stuff. Do you want to come by? And I didn't have anything going on, so I was like, sure. And I showed up and it was Flight Facilities. And we just kind of hung out and talked about all things Australia and all things LA. We watched a bunch of like Silverchair YouTube videos. And and then we just made that song and then I went about my day. I went home. I went back to like Tacoma and I didn't think anything of it. And then I moved to LA last September, and I think maybe in like January, I got a call from my friend Marco, and he was like, the guys really want to put that song out as like one of the like lead singles for their new record. And yeah, that's the
You
whole
guys,
story.
you guys are like partying together and just like recording stuff, and then you're like, oh, actually, this is a good song.
Well, yeah, I kind of was just like it was so like goofy and so different than the stuff I usually do. I didn't think anything would happen with it, you know? It's like I feel like usually when there's like vocals on dance music, it's like way prettier like voices you hear. And so I thought
For
maybe they'd
sure.
like re-record it with somebody else or something. But yeah, they were like, we really like fuck with this song and yeah. And people seem to like it, which has been really cool.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So you've recently released your second full-length album. Um, was there a clear like idea or emotion you were trying to convey in the album?
Um, Not necessarily. I feel like I think of albums more as a like time capsule for the like time period in which they were written in. And so I think it just became like a culmination of like everything that was happening the last like 2 years or so. And so I think as it like each song kind of got more developed, it like started to flesh out its own kind of like theme and vibe. But I think like usually going into an album, it's like we knew we didn't want it to be as produced as the last record, but that was kind of like all we knew. And I think like I think by the time we had like 8 songs, we had like we kind of were like, all right, we need like these kinds of songs to round it out. But like for most of what we do, we just kind of go to the practice space and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can understand that. And was there anything different about this album compared to your debut album? Like anything you learned that you wanted to try for this new album?
Yeah, I think like because when we recorded like our debut album, we had never really been in a studio before. Like we recorded our demo tape in our friend's closet, on like the free version of Ableton, you know, and so it was like a much more DIY experience. And then we recorded that album like in a studio with like a real producer, and it felt more like it felt way more like collaborative in that regards, where it's like we really needed his help. Like maybe we made the record like a year too early, in my opinion, in retrospect. We're like this album, excuse me, because it took so much longer to write. We had more time to play out the songs live, where it's like just about every song on the record we played live before we recorded it. And when you play a song live, you really get to like you get instant like feedback on like, how people are feeling about it. And so we were able to just like go into the studio with a much more concrete idea of what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm in a band myself actually, and like I feel like playing the songs live would be a good idea to see how people react. Like I feel like that's
Yeah.
a good trick to have.
No,
And
it helps a lot because it's like I feel like usually when we write a song, they're like it's way slower until we start playing it live. And there's definitely songs we've recorded that we wish we would have like worked out a little bit longer before we recorded them because they change so much when you play them.
what are your favorite songs to play live?
Right
Or
now, probably Change. Change is really
yeah, from the new
fun.
album.
Yeah, Change. I really like playing Sync. I think that's my favorite song on the album. Um, what else do I like playing? Um, I would say those are my favorite, just because they're like newer songs. Everything else we've been playing for a really long time. I like to play this older song we have, 10th and J2. Um, but yeah. Hmm. We have this B side called Hater that's fun to play that we play live now. Um, but yeah, stuff like those are my favorite songs to play for sure.
Okay, cool. Bit of a different question. If you could perform with any musical artist, alive or dead, who would you choose and why?
Like collaboratively or
Or if say if you were like joining them as they're playing live, like a live band, and there was like someone on drums that you really wanted to be on drums, just like someone you would jam with live, basically. Who would you pick if you could pick someone?
if I could pick anybody, I'd probably say PJ Harvey. Like
Okay,
it would,
interesting.
yeah. I just love PJ Harvey. Every ENUMCLAW record is me trying to rip off a different PJ Harvey record. Um, yeah, I just think she's like the coolest. So it would be sick to do some, yeah, to like play with her, like to play in her band and for her to sing like with us on a song would be really tight.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of London shows coming up, but anything in addition to that that you're really looking forward to?
I think that, or we just got asked to play a show today that I think will be interesting. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but
Just allude
um,
to it. Just give us
it's
some
somebody who's
breadcrumbs.
like kind of, I'd say they're kind of famous at this point. They're indie rockers who have crossed over into the mainstream. Um, I think I'm just excited about like making more music. We don't, yeah, like we're going to London and like Manchester, and then we're kind of done for the year, besides like band practice and stuff. So I think I'm honestly just excited to like go back to band practice.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
I know, not that like epic of an answer, but band practice is fun.
Yeah, for
You get
sure. Yeah, it's just good
making
to
the new
jam.
song is always more fun than playing like the song you already wrote.
I say again, sorry.
Like making a new song is like it's like way more fun than playing songs you've already like written.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. And so are there any other goals on your bucket list, or are you just wanting to record more music and tour, or are there any other big goals on your bucket list?
I mean, it would be sick to come to Australia. I mean, But I don't, that's a great question. I mean, it's just like I'm like not like living off of like being in this band 100% yet. So I think that's like my biggest like goal is to be able to like do the band full time and not have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. So I've got some final questions here, just some fun questions to wrap things up. Okay. What's your favorite album? If you could pick one or like the last 10 years, do you have a favorite album?
Is this Desire by PJ Harvey is probably my favorite album.
Okay,
I
interesting.
think she's the best.
I gotta check her out.
You never listened?
Oh, not much. Like
You got to start with the first one and like really listen to them all. It's not like I wouldn't say it's the most like accessible music, but like once it clicks, I think it's the best.
yeah, like Tool are one of my favorite bands, so I kind of
Yeah.
understand like about accessible. Like I didn't think they were very good in the beginning, but now like I love them.
Yeah, exactly. At first I thought PJ Harvey was really weird, but now it's like I think it's yeah, it's like I wish I sounded more like PJ Harvey.
Okay. Um, I know your favorite artist. Do you have any favorite movies?
Dude, I just watched this movie. I just watched that movie Challenger. It's not my favorite movie, but I thought it was really good. But I did see this other movie recently called Janet Planet. That is like incredible. I don't know if that's made it over to your guys' neck of the woods. It's like an independent film. But yeah, it was incredible. I thought it was the coolest depiction of childhood I've ever seen, aside from being a child myself.
Okay, interesting. Well, what's it called again?
Janet Planet.
Oh, Janet Planet.